Hey guys, and welcome back to Let's Play Dark Souls. Today we're going to be exploring the second, more lovely and tourist-friendly half of Anor Londo, and I'm not being sarcastic at all when I say that. Unlike between other previous episodes, I haven't actually really done any side leveling up or anything in between last episode and this episode, so let's just dive right into to the action. At the top of these stairs here, we're greeted with a pair of Sentinel Guardians. These guys, who are the same guys that we fought before. Unlike the ones previously, these ones will actually aggro as soon as you get closer to them, instead of waiting for you to do anything aggressive. And you really don't want to fight two of these at once, so make sure you just pull one of them and try to fight them on the stairs if you can. Sometimes they play a little hard to get, but they'll eventually come and try to stab you. So, we actually have a large number of doors up here at the top part of this stairs, most of which will not be opening for the majority of the level. This is kind of a hub area, actually, as far as getting back to the bridge and the bonfire and the entrance to Anor Londo, but we will not be coming back here until quite a bit later in the episode. Luckily, we do have one path open to us, and we will be using that to explore the rest of the level. These guys down here are bat demons. They aren't particularly dangerous, although they can be really quick. As long as you only encounter or engage one of them at a time, you shouldn't have too hard of a time with them. They can hit pretty hard, and they do lightning-based damage, which you probably don't have any defenses for unless you're prepared for it. But otherwise, they're not too big of a deal. And of course, they're easily staggered by the gargantuan stopping power of this Vine Hunter, if you can hit them. And I get relatively lucky there with the Demon Spear drop. That's a rare drop off of these guys. Of course, I am rocking 12 humanity, so I have a pretty decent drop rate as it is. The Demon Spear is a dexterity-based weapon. I believe it has lightning damage built in. I've never really used it all that much, but it's supposed to be pretty cool. Now, in true Dark Souls fashion, there's a pretty sneaky encounter up here. This seemingly innocuous space is actually guarded by two bat demons, and it's a good idea to simply aggro one or both of them, and then get them to kind of try to follow you up this bridge. You can't actually fit up the bridge, so it can be pretty easy to bottleneck them into your attacks. Although I seem to be having a difficult time of doing that at this point. And with those guys dispatched, we come to what is easily one of the most, if not the most, notorious non-boss sections of the game, the Tower or Silver Knight Archers, and their just incredible douchery involved with how they're positioned. because we're dealing with a couple of guys who are going to be shooting at us as we try to run up a very unprotected, narrow strip of roofing. We're going to be putting on some lighter clothing so that we get just a little bit faster than our Black Knight armor insanity that we've been rocking for the last couple levels. Now, this first part's not too bad. Simply want to run up as quickly as you can, and you do have those guards on the other side kind of protecting you from just running off of the edge, which is really nice. But I wouldn't get too comfortable. We haven't actually hit the difficult part of the ascent quite yet. You just want to wait right here until this one stops shooting at you, which will take, you know, just a half a minute or so. Once he's no longer trying to hit you with those giant arrows, which kind of look like lances to me, come up and run up this unprotected walkway. And once you get up here, you just try to mosey yourself into this corner, and then you realize that you're dealing with effing Silver Knights, which are similar to Black Knights in that they're tough, they hit hard, they have pretty relentless attacks, and you have literally no room to maneuver. I'd get used to seeing that death counter, by the way. So yeah, this try, we're going to be rocking even lighter armor, and we're going to be giving old Force a shot. Force is that miracle that allows me to push things away, and I'm hoping that I can just run up there and smack Mr. Silver Knight with a casting of Force in order to knock him off the ledge. I do want to point out that one of the more difficult or annoying parts of this encounter is the fact that the run back is probably close to 5 to 8 minutes, depending on how well you do. You do have to fight at least one of those sentinels, the 3 Bat Demon pull, and then the 2 Bat Demon pull before you get up here. Not to mention a lot of running and tower spinning and all kinds of fun stuff. And then you do that. Anyway, now we're going to be rocking the Painting Guardian set, because why not? I don't think it really matters, but who cares? We did just loot 12 humanity and some small number of souls, but I'm just not even that worried about it. I just want to get past these guys. In other news, the Painting Guardian set's actually pretty cool looking. You're wearing this light, silky armor with some metallic armor, it looks like, underneath. It's very light and has some decent defenses, but not particularly interesting set of armor, besides looks. Oh, shot in the back by the other one. And then Force doesn't even work. And then he just knocks himself right off the cliff. Which actually gives me kind of an idea about how to try this approach. So, because lightness seems to be hindering me when actually facing off against that guy, I decided, F it, let's just try our standard armor set. We might be a little slower, but well, that's a very, very helpful piece of insight. Thank you. Anyway, we're gonna try being a little bit slower, but being able to deflect those attacks a little bit better. That was a close one. Then I get robbed. Just robbed. Alright, we're going to try that one more time. If you have any, the Hide Body sorcery or the Ring of Fog, this actually makes this area quite a bit easier. They won't aggro until you get quite a bit closer. Close enough to where the actual run-up isn't really a problem, and it's just more dealing with the one Silver Knight. The other problem is also the fact that the one behind you can shoot at you if you get too close, but if you're wearing one of that ring or you have that sorcery cast on yourself, it does make this a little bit easier. So what you really want to do up here is just get up in this black or silver knight's face until he stops trying to shoot you with his bow and gets out his sword and shield. And then what you're really hoping for, in all honesty, is for him to just maneuver himself off the bridge or cliff. And I'm honestly not sure if force actually worked there or if he just kind of swung himself off the cliff. And frankly, I don't even care because we finally made it. Now then, with the Silver Knight archers taken care of, we actually get to explore the interior of Gwyn's castle. I really love the design of this area. It gives you kind of a cool example of a non-decrepit building in Dark Souls. Although it is, of course, disheveled and there's a lot of trash everywhere and everything seems to be, you know, out of order. But it's still pretty pristine, all things considered. So I really enjoy exploring this level and getting kind of a taste of what Anor Londo might have been like at its height.
Oh,
hey.
There you are. You've been quiet these days. Smooth summoning out there. Anytime you see my brilliantly shining signature, do not hesitate to call upon me. You've left me with quite an impression. I would relish a chance to assist you.
We haven't seen Solaire since Undead Berg.
You really are fond of chatting with me, aren't you? If I didn't know better, I'd think you had feelings for me. Oh no, dear me, pretend you didn't hear that.
Solaire is kind of a weird dude, but can't help but love him. Alright then, let's go exploring this lovely castle by destroying some of the furniture. Seriously, Gwyn's a douche. I don't even know Gwyn. And of course, Gwyn's castle is populated with a large number of these Silver Knights, who are really not a problem for us in our dual attack with the Zweihander. Laying them flat out and hitting them and being able to hit them a second time really does make that much easier. And on the plus side, we get 3 silver or sunlight medals, which are the medals we need to actually improve our Covenant ranking. I've been trying to get 10 of them so we can get the upgraded Lightning Spear, but I'm having such a hard time getting the multiplayer to work that it's been rather difficult actually collecting those medals. You can see there's actually a set of stairs leading up there, but before we go up there, we're going to do a little bit more exploring on this base floor. Including looking at this room that's full of either scrolls or bones. I can never really tell what those are supposed to be. I'm gonna go with scrolls because bones is just creepy. Also, who doesn't have a secret doorway in their fireplace? Yep, this strangely creepy, very dark, pillar-filled room actually holds a pretty awesome set of loot. It's none other than Havel's gear. And we get his full armor set. Havel, if you'll remember correctly, was the guy from the bottom of the tower in the forest/Undead Berg, who we killed for, well, Havel's ring. We also get his great shield, and that big-ass effing mace that he murdered us with a few times. Now you notice the chain on this one is not pointing the right direction, so we're going to actually do a little stabinating here. Gotta love that creepy giggle. That attack right there, the sort of reach out and grab, is actually incredibly dangerous because he will pick you up, and just kind of nom on you until you're dead. If you have enough health, you can kind of wiggle your way out of there by mashing the shoulder buttons, but generally speaking, if you get picked up in that, you're going to be screwed. Also, the Occult Club is it's kind of a cool item. It's got the Occult enchantment on it, which we talked about last time. We got that Dark Ember in the Painted World. This club is basically already enchanted with that particular enchantment. Well, with that strange, creepy, dark basement room where Havel seemed to keep his gear and his mimic explored, let's continue to check out the rest of this castle. There are 4 doors to explore on this floor, and this one doesn't really have anything in particular interest, although it does show us a room that we'll be seeing shortly, the room that had that closed door at the bottom floor. And interestingly, a whole bunch of Drake and or Dragon trophies. This door here shows us another lovely chance to fight a Silver Knight, again with a spear. And it shows us the source of that creepy breathing sound, which is a Titanite demon hanging out in what looks like a throne room. I'm sure there's some kind of commentary there, but I'm not seeing it. It seems that Gwyn is a fan of mimics, because here is yet another hanging out up here. The silver coin is worth a large number of souls when fed to Frampt, which is totally reminding me that we have that copper coin from way back at the beginning of the LP that we also need to feed to Frampt. There's a couple more doors, another Silver Knight to vanquish down there, but before that, let's have some more fun with another mimic. And not hit. You're not actually able to lock on to him until he's completely finished his standing up animation. But what I did learn, outside of this particular playthrough, is that you can actually continue to hit him while he's standing up. So it's pretty easy to actually take these guys out before they even get a chance to animate fully. And for our trouble, we get a gold coin, which, again, is worth a lot of souls if fed to Frampt. Seems to be fond of eating money. I find Anor Londo pretty interesting beyond even its incredible visual design, because there aren't a lot of Peasley monsters here. You're pretty much fighting pretty dangerous things in every encounter. Not saying that many encounters in Dark Souls aren't dangerous, but there's no like groups of undead mobs here. You're just fighting Silver Knights and freaking mimics. And of course I'm a little paranoid because I'm trying to remember which rooms have them hiding out. This room's actually really interesting because of all the paintings and the really nice 4-poster bed. This is really the, oh my, praise the sun. Anyway, another good example of what life must have been like in our Anor Londo before the end of the Age of Fire. Oh man, you just broke that. You're supposed to be protecting this place, man. Yeah, it's actually a little creepy running around in here. There's all these big rooms with all kinds of furniture. This place looks very lived in, or once lived in, and yet there's absolutely no one here other than the knights who guard the palace. Speaking of knights, we got a few more to deal with here. We should be able to pull and handle this guy without aggroing the the archer knight over there. And honestly, the double attack where we stagger him just feels a little dirty. Those guys are actually usually pretty challenging to deal with. They're not quite as bad as actual Black Knights, but they're up there for sure. And wouldn't you know it, it's our old friend Siegmeyer.
Whatever can be done. Ah, you again. Let me guess. Were you repelled by the Silver Knights? Ah, don't be ashamed. 'Tis the fate of vanguards like you and I. I'll think of something. We can overcome this together. This is quite if we'll need another 3, no, maybe 5 bodies. Quite a fix indeed.
All right then, Siegmeyer, let's see what's got you. Let's see what's got you stuck. Well, a room with 3 Silver Knights in it isn't exactly an easy thing to deal with, but I think with some careful pulling, we'll make quick work of this problem. Now serving Silver Knight number 2. Silver Knight 3, please wait your turn. And fuck that chair, first of all. Now serving Silver Knight number 3. Come on, Siegmeyer. I'm pretty sure you have the same weapon as me. That wasn't all that bad.
What's on your mind, friend? Wait, you defeated those monsters? Fantastic! I'm saved! This Knight of Katarina hereby commends you. Take this as a token of my gratitude. But be warned, gallantry entails great risks. Next time, give me a chance to come up with a plan.
His reward is the Tiny Being's Ring, which is actually one of the starter gifts that you can begin the game with. It originally was misprinted in that it regenerates your health, but really all it does is just give you a tiny boost to your health. I'm not even sure, 5% or maybe even 1%. It's pretty terrible. So, I mean, thanks, Siegmeyer. I appreciate it, but it's pretty terrible. Anyway, his comment about gallantry causing risks and allowing him to come up with a plan is actually kind of a hint of how to handle the next time you encounter Siegmeyer, which we'll get to quite a few episodes from now. And yeah, that Demon Titanite is in a pretty dangerous spot. There's not a lot of room to move around in there. He's got a wide arc for attacks, and there's not really much point to killing him if you're not building up any boss-based weapons, so I think we're just going to leave him alone and continue murdering all the Silver Knights in this area. Now this guy actually doesn't aggro unless you get really close, which makes fighting the other guy pretty easy. Dealing with 2 of these at once would not be a lot of fun. And your reward for clearing him out is actually a set of Silver Knight armor. And finally, we can open up this door, which you will no doubt recognize as the same door that we saw on the bottom floor at the beginning of the level near the bonfire. Which means we've made our way full circle, and we're ready to continue on. Now we're not going to rest just yet, because frankly I don't see any need to. I've still got plenty of Estus flasks, and I don't really want to deal with a bunch of respawned monsters. We still have a bit of exploring to do. Now those big effing dudes down there, which there are 2, are called Royal Sentinels, and they're basically bigger, more angry versions of the Sentinels that we've been fighting since the beginning of the level. In addition to the fact that they're actually larger and they hit quite a bit harder, they actually have several divine spells that they can cast, including a heal. They kind of suck. Also note this broken window. We'll be coming back here shortly to pick up an item. But before we do, we're going to actually just head on over here and see what's in the other side of the castle. If you listen carefully, you can hear a promising sound. It's the giant blacksmith.
Who are you? Forge your weapons?
And he's a man of few words.
'Tis no good, but forge, very good. I have any time.
Yeah, I apologize for murdering all your friends over in Sense Fortress BT dubs. Now the giant blacksmith's pretty cool. He comes fully equipped with the ability to create lightning weapons. And in addition to that, he is the only blacksmith in the game that can create the boss weapons. So you actually bring your weapons here if they're at +10, and it's a specific weapon type, and you have the boss soul that you need, you'll be able to craft a special, unique, boss-only weapon, which would then be upgraded with Demon Titanite. He also sells the Giant's Halberd and Giant's set, a particularly infamous armor set. The Giant set is very heavy, but is also one of the best physical defenses in the game, has a very high poise, and is generally really good for bosses that just hit really hard and you just gotta tank their damage. We don't actually have anything that we need the Giant Blacksmith to work on quite yet, but he does have kind of a hidden item back here. The Hawk Ring is really awesome for your bow types, or even your semi-dexterous types that want to improve their bow ability. Basically, it really boosts your range as well as damage with ranged weapons. It can be really cool for farming enemies from a long distance, or just making you even more dangerous with a bow. Naturally, since Uther doesn't even know how to pronounce the word bow, we won't be bothering with the Hawk Ring. Yeah, well, if you walk right off of it, I guess, I mean, yeah. As you can see, we've returned back to that very initial sort of hub area I mentioned earlier. And with that door open, we now have a quick way back here from the bonfire, as well as the entrance to Anor Londo. We do have one more thing to investigate before we check out the main part of that Great Hall, and that was that broken window that we saw earlier. With a carefully timed roll, you can fall into this little side area and pick up the Dragon Slayer Great Bow and a single Dragon Slayer arrow. The Dragon Slayer Great Bow is basically the most powerful bow in the game. It requires an immense amount of strength and dexterity, 20 each, to be able to use, but its damage is absolutely ridiculous. The only arrows that you can use with the Dragon Slayer Great Bow are, of course, the Dragon Slayer arrows, which also hit rather hard. Interestingly, the Silver Knights that we've been dealing with, including those 2 Tower Knights, were actually equipped with Dragon Slayer Great Bows and Dragon Slayer arrows. I did learn a trick with these gargoyles on the tip here. If you just run up and give them a good old deft casting of force, or 2. They just kind of give you their souls. Thanks, dude. Well, with all these side areas explored in Gwyn's castle, it's time to head on into the center part of that main great chamber and deal with those lovely royal sentinels I mentioned, open up the last shortcut, and then possibly take on the boss of this area. If you factor in the initial episode of Anor Londo, and even if you ignore the painted world, you can definitely tell that this is absolutely an enormous area, and the first time playing through it can be rather frustrating, just like most levels can, but because of its size, some of your deaths can be very unforgiving with the amount of backtracking you have to do. Yeah, these guys have a pretty amazing aggro radius, and they will both attack you at once if you're not being careful. What we really want to do is get over here and activate this contraption. Luckily, we are invulnerable while we're actually doing the animation, but there's no sort of cutscene or anything. It just cuts right back to this dude. It's kind of hard to see, but what we did was open up a door at the end of the hall, which was actually those 2 very large doors that we saw again at the hub near the beginning of the episode. That's one of the divine miracles that this guy can cast. That's Wrath of the Gods. It's just a straight up AoE attack that does a pretty decent amount of damage, although it doesn't seem to be doing too much to me. And of course, while they heal, they have their big shield up, so you can't actually damage them, making these guys even that much more frustrating to deal with. Well, that was just cheating. At a point, I'm wondering if it's even worth dealing with this guy at all, as he is really making it very difficult for me to even get a single attack in edgewise, and he's really doing a lot of damage to me. That was very close to death there. I'm surprised I didn't die. But with a couple deftly timed swings, we're able to take him out, reap our 3,000 souls, and then remember that those are just normally spawning enemies, and say fuck it and move on with our lives. Yeah, fuck you, I'll be back later. At the other end of the hall, I didn't really show it very well, but basically the end of the hall opposite the doors that we opened is the fog door leading to the boss of this area. It's basically the top of those stairs that you can kind of see past those pillars. Don't worry, we'll be visiting it very soon. Now, the upcoming boss is also relatively infamous in this area. It's rather difficult. I remember my first time dealing with them was filled with anguish, and I had a rather frustrating time dealing with them. And as such, I've always tried to even things into my favor when dealing with these two bosses, simply because why deal with frustration when there are simply game mechanics that you can take advantage of to be able to take care of the enemy, no problem. So we're basically going to be using a couple humanity. We're going to be going human again, kindling the bonfire so we can get plenty of Estus flasks, and then we're going to be engaging in some jolly cooperation. Now, I did run into an issue here where basically I was trying to summon other players for quite a while, and I ended up kind of dinking around, picking a few, and I'd wait a minute or two and the summon would fail. So I ended up having to go in and do some tweaking on my router settings to like open up some port forwarding. Unfortunately, I don't think that's actually solved the issue because I still run into it, but we're going to go ahead and skip to when I was actually able to successfully summon another player. This was honestly half an hour, or maybe more later, but I was just waiting patiently and excited and hoping that this time it was actually going to work. And it did. So this here is Space Weasel. Space Weasel, I really appreciate your help. He's decked out in some Havel gear, he's got a big-ass axe and kind of a creepy mask-looking thing. And I'm ready, he's ready, we're gonna go kick some ass. So this is how co-op works. Let's take a minute to kind of explain some of the mechanics, since we have a bit of a run to do. Basically, a phantom entering your world is unable to use Estus flasks. They cannot heal themselves. So it's important to watch their health bar and make sure that if they start getting low, even if your health's not down, you drink an Estus flask because it restores both yours and the other character's health. Now I run back because he's standing still, and I realize that he actually sent me a couple messages via Xbox Live. Since I have those notifications turned off, I didn't really get them. He was basically asking me which boss we were going to be taking care of, but he was able to figure it out, no problem. Anyway, other than the healing issue, the only other thing is if he dies, he is immediately sent back to his realm. If I die, he's immediately sent back to his realm. And if we're able to kill the boss together, then he gets a cut of the souls. Actually, he gets a fraction of the amount of souls he would have gotten normally, and I still get the full amount. So while the boss's health bars are going to be a little bit more stocked, I'm not sure that's going to be an issue because this dude hits for a freaking tank load of damage. Yeah. Yeah, Space Weasel's gonna be valuable. Anyhow, with that said, here we go into the boss of Anor Londo. Yep. Dragon Slayer Ornstein and Executioner Smaugahha is a duo of bosses. You have to fight both of them at the same time. And it can be a real clusterfuck if you're not really aware of what's going on, and especially if you manage to get both of them on you at the same time. Ornstein is the skinny dragoon-looking knight. He is fast, he hits with a lot of lightning damage, and he is very quick as he runs around the arena. Meanwhile, Smaug is very slow, but obviously strength-based. It's very hard with his gigantic mace of silliness. This isn't really a great example of how to actually tackle this boss, simply because freaking Space Weasel is just over there tanking like a boss, while I'm running around smacking things with my sword and trying to be useful. We do actually take out Ornstein though, which triggers a little special scene. Which basically means that the first boss you kill actually absorbs the power of the... I'm sorry, the boss that you don't kill absorbs the power of the boss that you do kill. So in this case, we now have a lightning-imbued Smaug. He's a little bit faster, and he hits quite a bit harder. He has a couple extra attacks. He's also not particularly weak to lightning. So there are basically two ways to take on this fight, really. You can either kill Smaug first, or you can kill Ornstein first. It's generally considered the easier way to do things if you kill Ornstein first, because if you kill Smaug first, Ornstein becomes very large and hits even harder, and a large, super fast, lightning-imbued boss is not a lot of fun to deal with. Personally, I've never actually done it that way, although I would really like to try. I just haven't had a chance to quite yet. Anyway, with that usually extremely dangerous boss fight is vanquished without too much effort at all. Much appreciated Space Weasel. And 50,000 souls richer, we are now finished, mostly finished anyway, with Anor Londo. If you don't want to engage in jolly cooperation, but you still want to have an easier time of dealing with Smaug and Ornstein, I highly recommend summoning Solaire. He's available to summon on this fight. His summoning sign is located kind of on the far platform near where the Silver Knight with the Dragon Slayer Great Bow is hanging out when you first enter that large room. I have done this fight with Solaire, and he does a very good job of tanking, making the fight much more manageable. Anyhow, with that taken care of, we get access to a new bonfire, the third in Anor Londo, as well as one final chamber.
Thou hast journeyed far, and overcome much, chosen undead. Come hither, child.
Wow.
O chosen undead, I am Guinevere, daughter of Lord Gwyn and Queen of Sunlight. Since the day Father his form did obscureth, I have awaited thee. I bequeath the Lord vessel to thee.
Yep, you read that right. We can now warp between bonfires. This is awesome. It's really, well, it's interesting because it reduces the running around that you have to do in the game. It is very handy because it reduces the amount of running around you have to do in the game.
And beseech thee, succeed Lord Gwyn, and inheriteth the fire of our world. Thou shalt endeth this eternal twilight, and avert further undead sacrifices. O chosen undead, thou hast journeyed far. Since the day Father is once and this agreed without fire, all shall be a frigid and frightful dark. Now thou shalt go forth, chosen undead. May thou be one with the sunlight forevermore.
Yeah, the first time I encountered this room, somebody had posted on the ground right in front of those doors, amazing chest ahead, and I really enjoyed that particular soapstone message once I walked inside. Anyhow, with one of the strangest character designs in the game behind us, let's try out our new warping Lord vessel, because seriously, the options are actually limited. It's not every bonfire in the game, but most major areas are represented, and some have multiples if it's a particularly large area. And just like that, we are warped to a completely different location in the game. And look who's here waiting for us. It's our old friend Siegmeyer. We'll have to chat with him next time. Well, we have put the sun-bleached steppes of Anor Londo behind us, and actually completed our current mission. So we'll have to find out what we have to do next on the next episode. As always, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time on Let's Play Dark Souls.